Hello YouTube, Ronin Kaze. Something different. Look at us with tier lists for Linux. I'm in Guild Wars 2. This is my character leveled up pretty quick, like 5 days. If you like, subscribe, share, unsubscribe, resubscribe, I'd appreciate it. We're going to be doing tier lists today. And if you know anything about Ronin Kaze, we'll look at that right after F. Look at those thumbnails for videos I did on Linux. Those have Fs for a variety of reasons. What about our E tier? There's a couple more thumbnails from those. Now you may be saying, what's the difference? This is Ronin Kaze. What is he doing here? This doesn't seem like the norm. Hey, it's going too fast. That one doesn't even have a title. It's called The Underground. And it's also about Linux, YouTube. What about this one? Linux failed. A lot of you liked that. Or didn't. And finally, in the A list, 2 wallpapers I made for CachyOS. Those are wallpapers you could have, YouTube. Please feel free to use them. I guess you need bigger sizes. I don't know how I'm going to do that for you. But, YouTube, here it comes. The S tier, Linux Distro Cachy. Let me explain something to you about these tier lists. There are bunches of operating systems you're never going to use. Are you really going to use a F, a E, or a D? But Ronin, don't even talk about those, right? I don't talk about those. This is a gaming channel for PCs that are 30 watts and less, and I just give you everything else related to it. And so the S tier was always going to have one Linux distribution. It makes no sense to recommend to you, well, here's my second favorite. The great thing about Linux is it is one of those things that you can just keep sampling flavors because it just works so well that you can just try anything. But in reality, that's why I stick with Cachy, because it just works for me. And also it works for gaming. Some of the things, if you dig into other distributions or talk about other stuff, with you got to worry about if you have integrated graphics or not, this, that, and the third. Cachy just works all the time. It's great. And it's nothing against the other Linux distributions, because really what are we talking about in the other distributions? We're talking about different window managers and a little bit of a package manager. But there's really not a lot of big differences. There really isn't. And you might have seen one of the videos where I kind of cap on some of these media things that talk about, should you take Linux Mint or should you take Zornos? And when you ask an AI, what's the real difference? There's dumb. No, it's no difference. It just made up words. You're forcing me, human, you're forcing me to make differences where there are none. Because there really aren't any. Some distributions have preloaded software. That's no reason. But Ronin, you say SteamOS. We're talking about, hold on, timeout also. So that's the tier list. I saw a thing today on Google News where Windows 4 reasons, Windows 11, you shouldn't switch to Linux. And they're all stupid. And they're not true. One of them was about Office. I made a whole video. That might be a thumbnail in there about one of those videos about offices. You can't use Office 365 desktop apps. Why would you want to use the desktop app? Because if you're in the Windows megasphere. Oh, that was Chaka Khan, by the way. In the lyrics to the song, I'm every woman, I just substituted I'm every Linux, right? And the lyrics fit great. For those of you just listening, I'm making the face and holding. I'm in Guild Wars 2. I couldn't figure out what to do in this part. I kept beating my head against the rocks there. You can see I'm doing 0 damage. Because over on the map, I'm supposed to go get some grenades, but I'm not smart enough. So I went in here. I didn't die, so that's a pretty good build. But you see, I would back up. I was pretty proud of myself for not dying, but not proud of myself because I'm not that smart. Ooh, that's bad. really, I'm not going to make a tier and tell you that Fedora or whatever, really CachyOS. If you can't use CachyOS, then you're going to ratchet down to the next thing. But you're going to start at CachyOS. I'm not afraid to tell you that. I had recommended, or I'd let you know I was getting Ashes of Creation. I paid the money to be in the early release. Their whole company fell apart. I've asked for a refund. I'll buy the money on other stuff. I'm not going to ask for a refund on Madden because it doesn't work on Steam, because someday it might. And I haven't given up my Super Bowl thoughts that I could play a football game for Sunday Super Bowl for the video, YouTube. Daily, right? So this is a daily video. You might not like what I say on individual things. You might not like a game, but I'm going to talk about similar things all the time, every day. I'm going to go over that. Why I won't sign in and just let my monitor stay on for 15 minutes. Now I'm finding out, oh, maybe I should go back there. I don't know, YouTube, why I don't do it with my cheap lighting for my face. Because my face, but his face. It's not a good joke. It's not how the joke goes, YouTube. Let's not tell those jokes. So, the thing is, saw this thing where there's no reasons to stay with Linux. One of it was Office products. That's not a reason. One of them was certain specific apps. If you have to use Adobe Suite for your job, then yes, you're going to have to use Windows or a Mac. And then it said games. I would disagree. Not everyone wants to shell out $70 for the brand new game that may or may not be better than something you've had for 10 or 15 years. I know that we're tired of playing Skyrim 5, but not for nothing, it's a pretty good game. All you're going to do is be disappointed with Skyrim 6. Right? How do you follow up after something like that? That's neither here nor there. So, we have the tier list. I could have put some other things in there, but I wouldn't. If you're against some of the things about Ubuntu, the way it does its flat pack system, or whatever it's called for them, or, right? Then why do you suddenly like Linux Mint, right? If you're taking a dump on Ubuntu, then you need to take a dump on Linux Mint. But I like that and what I'm going to tell you, don't take a dump on any Linux distro. They're made by different people, supported by different people that have a vision for what they want to do. And all the ones I've run, I can make them look the same, relatively speaking, right? I'm going to update them the same. Why do I like CachyOS? One, I don't know how to say the name of it. That's kind of annoying. But when I looked at it and how I operate, you can update it every single day. You can update it every single day, which means you kind of control how fresh your system is. On Windows, you'd be getting this pushed to you anyways. So I don't understand where we make this delineation between Linux is Linux is Linux. The idea is that you have this open source software that you can have access to, look at the code to see if there's any skullduggery going on or whatever. The other thing was hardware configuration. Again, I'm going to tell you what, I had to get a new network card for this $300 mini PC because it wasn't supported by Broadcom. Didn't make the drivers available for Linux. Guess what this will do, right? When I go to purchase a computer, I'm never going to do something with Broadcom because now I'm going to start choosing products that support the software that I like, that I want to use. So today, Adobe doesn't support Linux, but that won't always be the case. Because there's going to be a set of people that will be able to purchase it or use it or do whatever, and it's just a revenue stream. They just haven't gotten hungry enough yet, YouTube. I did a little looking at what's the percentage. I did a video, my last video was about Mac OS, geez, oh Pete's, Ronin, versus Linux. And the thing I found was this. They both have very paltry shares of the marketplace. So it's really, I was with a company once, we were small. 40% of the marketplace giants, then maybe someone that had 10, and then the rest of us that were scrounging around at the bottom. Now, I loved that company that I worked for, but we're still, you know, we're eating at the crumbs of the big guys. We punched above our weight, but like it's still. So you have to put that in perspective, right? And if you do any kind of analysis of Linux versus Mac OS, they're kind of two different markets. But in reality, we're talking about the rest of us, not developers and not creative people are making Adobe stuff. We're talking about people are just using their computer. And number one, Linux is by far the best for that. Why is it the best? It's simple. Listen, if you're 60 years old, you've used Windows 3.1, which is different than Windows 95, which is different than Windows 2000, which is different than Windows 7. And it's not just the window management of Windows, that the window dressing, those softwares are all a little bit different. Because it's built on the original DOS, which was an 8+3 file system software. So the naming convention was 8 characters plus 3. And so that just kind of, to be compatible backwards to DOS, Windows was always handicapped until you kind of went forward. And it goes on and on and on. Now we're making this shift to AI. Microsoft is pushing Copilot, and that's one of the reasons why you're not allowed to use your Windows 10 compatible hardware, but you can use that in Linux. The advantage of Linux is you just got freedom of whatever hardware you want. Let's say you got a POS hardware. You're going to find a Linux distribution that's going to work on it. Let's say you only browse. If you come to Ronin Kaze's computer shop, Ronin Kaze is going to tell you, get a tablet. I dated a woman once. She had a crappy computer, but she used Print Shop Pro. So for you, anyone who knows what Print Shop Pro is, you're a codger. And I was like, man, don't use that. That's not even how the world works anymore. I said, get an iPad. Not only did they get an iPad, they got it engraved, which then complained that it took a long time for it to come from China. And this is an entitled American, right? I dumped her. This is an entitled American. Oh, how come my iPad from China that I asked to engrave isn't here today? Why would I recommend a tablet? Because when you're old, you can hold the tablet right next to you and you can look at it while you're talking at it, and you can get it close and you can read everything. Can't do that with a laptop. You can fold the 2-in-1s. It's too heavy for us old people, right? And the interface is made to pinch and squeeze on a tablet. And I'd get like that Samsung tablet you get in Best Buy for $110. I'd get that tablet to start with. Now, you run into the same problems. I was just watching a video about the 5 most secure browsers and the 5 least secure browsers, and with mobile. I might share it with you because you might not like the person, and I didn't at first. It was a scripted reader, but then I understand why it was scripted, and so it made sense. But he had a methodology, and so I'm like, okay, great. What is upshoot from this video? Tor. I'm going to tell you not the part that you're going to use, but Tor is the most, the best video or browser for privacy. But it's interesting to look at his methodology and everything else. But back to this S tier. Not going to tell you to get Zoranos. Not going to tell you to get Zoranos. Not going to tell you to get Fedora. They all have some little type of tools, and that's what makes them great. And that's what I like about Cachy. But I'm a gamer, and so I want to make sure my drivers are updated. You never hear me talk about updating my video driver, right? Because that's included in this update. So I'm constantly updating my driver before I start playing. Nothing worse than to be in Windows and start playing your game and your driver's out of date. And so then you gotta go and installing that NVIDIA driver is a pain in the butt. It's not just like the beginning of the day. Okay, so this is a good part of the video. We're going to look at the video now. I'm Guild Wars 2. These two folks have gone off and were captured, and they're running away. You ever heard the adage, I don't have to be fast, just faster than you? And that's what happens here. The plant lady sticks the human, the Nord, and then the Nord gets her back. And now that one of those dudes is that woman's son. And this is the big monster of this first part. Wow, YouTube. Oh, and it sticks her and nails her to the tree. Dead. Sorry, unalived. And now I gotta go beat it. Makes me think of Michael Jackson beat it, but it's not that kind of Michael. It's not that kind of beat it. As is typical in MMO RPGs, look at the ground. You don't want to be in the bad spot of the ground. In this zoom view, you don't get to see my health. But you get a better view. I just think this is better. Zoom views are better than having that far away. And we're going to beat this monster, YouTube. You can see he's already down. It's part of the story. I have to admit, Guild Wars is an okay story. It's a little bit different because it's not of a universe that I knew of before, right? So maybe I discounted it. Maybe I didn't sell that up enough, but it's been pretty good so far after this replay. And of course, I'm a druid. It's one of my specializations as a ranger and pets and everything else like that. So, wrapping up, S tier, CachyOS. All the rest of tiers doesn't matter. Why would I recommend second and third place things to you? I wouldn't. Here's what you're supposed to do again with Linux. What am I using it for? What window manager do I like? And then burn it and install it. And then one of those thumbnails is that. This is Ronin Kaze out! Super Bowl!